future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Hello, everyone. Dr. Judy here, Dr. Judy WTF, and that stands for What the Freud. And What the Freud is Freud's concept of the repetition principle. And the idea behind the What the Freud is that if we don't complete the past, then we keep reverberating and spin cycling through. So tonight's episode is very appropriate to the season because it is the end of August and kids are going back to school. And some parents are going back to school too. Everyone's going back to school, and some people need to go back to school. So this is a time of high anxiety for some, and we're going to talk a lot about what makes kids anxious, what makes parents anxious. We're going to talk about doing homework. We're also going to talk about the effects of this horrible, well, I won't say it's an epidemic because it's not, research shows it's not that common, but school shootings and what impact school shootings have on children returning to school, both for parents and for children. And as usual, we're going to do some mind mapping. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a little background on the mind map, which was a system designed to heal global disconnect. Back in 2002, I had this concept. And then I used the mind map as a system of healing for the micro problem of human disconnect predicated on mother-infant disconnect, father-infant disconnect, family disconnect, community disconnect, and then extending to global disconnect. So what is a disconnect? A disconnect is a place where mother-infant have a separation, and the disconnects are caused by childhood wounds, and there are 5 of them. There is obviously physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. There is not so obviously smothering, spoiling, controlling, and not so obviously neglect. So a lot of what I talk about is based on Dr. John Bowlby's attachment theory, and the stronger and healthier we attach to our primary caregivers, the more psychological goodies we get, and the more hardy we are, and the more life stressors that hit on us can be better endured, better processed. So tonight is a call-in show, as most of you know, and so please do call in. The number is 323-843-2826. I'm sure that there are a lot of parents out there who worry about their children going back to school for several reasons, and children who are getting ready, sharpening their pencils, getting their notebooks together. And there's a lot of wonder in this period of time, a lot of excitement just because new friends, new situation, new information, new creativity, new stimulation, and then a lot of points of anxiety. So just a little bit of information. I want to let you all know that I am doing a seminar this September 14th and 15th at the beautiful Psychological Healing Center, and I would love to meet you, and I would love to create an atmosphere. I am going to create an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. It's a very beautiful, tranquil spot to do the mind map process. I am condensing it. So on the 14th, I'm going to be going into panels 1, 2, and 3, wounds, reactions, and encodings. And day 2, we're going to talk about chaos, our defenses, and our breakdowns, and have some breakthroughs. And then on day 3, I'm going to get into the paradigm shift and recoding of the old into the new, and balancing and healing. And so if you'd like to sign up, it's still early enough to take advantage of the $300 discount. Go to my website, either psychologicalhealingcenter.com or drjudywtf.com, and you can sign up, and I would love to meet you. And I did it I did the plan in 3 days. I'm doing the plan in 3 days because there's some people who are coming from out of town and they can't afford to stay in beautiful Los Angeles, Sherman Oaks for long. And so that's why we're going to have an intensive plan. Okay, so to get into school anxiety, let's start out with an article by Carolyn Miller, Back to School Anxiety. It seems that there's a spike right before school of butterflies, of stomach aches, of headaches, and it's prompted by the fact that there's a separation. So again, back to separation, human disconnect. There is a disconnect here in the sense that the child is going to be leaving for several hours. Maybe your child has been used to being around the house all day, and now there's going to be a schedule. There are going to be teachers that are going to be grading them. There are going to be classmates in there potentially judging them. There are going to be bullies in there potentially bullying them. And then on the positive note, because I don't want you to think that I only talk about the darkness, there's going to be a lot of education, stimulation, new concepts, new people to interface with. So it's always the yin and the yang, the darkness and the light. If you look at panel number 1, you could see there's the light behind the darkness, and hopefully your children will quickly adapt to school, especially the children who are going into the school system for the very first time. They seem to be the clingiest and the most anxious. And so we're going to look at what to do about this transition time. So if there's a change in the child's social support system, for example, if the nanny is now going to be taking the child to school, or if the child is going off to a new school away from the parents, or if there's a change in caregiving, that is definitely going to rock the boat, and that's going to create more of an unstable system. We're going to be looking at it from a mind map perspective, and going back to panel 1, if you have had secure attachment with your child, meaning that primarily you were there for them, you were nurturing them, you were good enough there for them, it always helps when you give them the utmost in emotional goodies. I'm just posting a wonderful blog that one of my lactation specialist people wrote for me. It's going to be up there soon, a blog on breastfeeding. These are the ingredients that make for a healthy human psyche: eye contact, skin contact, attunement, breastfeeding, stay at home during the first few months and years of life. These are the things that create secure attachment. So if your child is securely attached, chances are they're going to be less clingy. Why? Because actually healthy dependence fosters healthy independence. And usually children who are more clingy have had unhealthy dependence on their parents, maybe in the category, breaking it down to childhood wounds, parents who over worry, over monitor, over, the tiger mom, like that. Those children may be more prone to anxiety. So when I speak of these things, it's also a way for you to hear it as a preventative. So if you want your child to be healthily independent, then you want to create healthy dependency. So what do children react to? Well, they react to you. So if you're looking very anxious about them going back to school and feeling very anxious, and that, let's not kid ourselves, parents have separation anxiety too, then they're going to pick up on your temperature and they're going to bounce off of your feelings. So the best place to start with is within yourself, and check in with yourself and start calming yourself down so that you can be a role model of stability, a role model of balance. And that's what your children are going to look for. So again, I know there are parents out there. Please feel free to call in. This is a call-in show, 323-843-2826. And for those of you who have not read my book, Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect, you can grab it off of Amazon.com. And if you have read it, I really appreciate any reviews on the book. It really helps. And for anyone who wants to suggest a topic at any time, please do. I do listen and respond to my audience. And so, again, going back to what will help your child to stay calm is your staying calm. What will help to create nervousness in the situation is if you're nervous about the situation. Certain things that make matters more anxious for your child is if your child is going through some sort of a traumatic event. In other words, let's say you've moved to a new school district. Let's say you have a new nanny. Let's say you have let's say their friends moved away or they've moved away and they don't have their familiar friends in the new school system. This will exacerbate their anxiety. Also, psychosocial stressors. What is a psychosocial stressor? A psychosocial stressor is anything that is out of the normal range of usual stress, such as a divorce or death in the family, or some accident, or something that is unusually stressful to the child. If your child has experienced any of that, then don't be too surprised if they're more anxious than usual. And it seems that research is showing that they do eventually adjust. And so keep your eyes out for your child. And if they're experiencing terrible stomach aches and terrible headaches, well, of course, rule out any physicality, medical conditions, and take them to a pediatrician. Usually they'll probably just say, hey, it's psychosomatic, mind-body connection. And if that's the case, then again, you want to bring in familiarity, regularity, scheduling. So if they are scared, then the thing that you can do as a parent is really listen to them. And you don't have to fix it. You don't have to worry with them. You can just be that listening ear as they tell you what they're scared of. Maybe they're scared that they're going to fail, or maybe they're scared that the friend from last year may not like them anymore, or maybe they're scared that they've gained some weight and they don't want to be out in front of their friends and be criticized for this. So in terms of mind mapping this, we want to look at, obviously, wounds of childhood and how they react within your child. That is the amygdala speaking, the reactions that trigger off the fight-flight symptoms, the reactions that make the heart beat faster, or the sweat glands pour out sweat faster. This is the fight-flight, because when they're going to school, they don't have an option. It's not like, hey, little Johnny, do you want to go to school today? Oh, well, I don't think so. I'm not in the mood. No, that's not the case. It's like, Johnny, you're going to school today. School starts at 8 o'clock or whatever, and you have to be there. So there's no chance for that child to flee. So in a sense, they're in that hostage situation, not necessarily a bad one, because in this case, the hostage situation may teach them discipline and responsibility and may help them developmentally to regulate their feelings and work through their feelings. So not all hostage situations are horrible. Only some of them, and I talk about a lot of them on other shows, hostage situations in dysfunctional families, narcissistic injuries, and children stuck in horrible homes. So let's go for a moment to panel number 3 and see what is in there. So if you look at it, it is represented by a DNA strand, and there are two pillars there. There's that pillar that represents the blue pillar, let's just say metaphorically, represents the father, and the pink strand represents the mother, and they're held together by bonds. Okay, so I call these the pillars. So if the family structure is really, really strong and has integrity, and there's not too much chaos within the family, and there's not a lot of drug use and abuse and verbal and physical and sexual abuse and all of the abuses and neglects I mentioned, then we have a pretty stable family structure, which will help to reduce the anxiety level of your child. Panel 3 also represents the encoding of the child, the encoding of their core beliefs. So if they have those psychonutrients, as I like to call them, the psychological goodies, they're going to encode in there some really strong, stable messages like I'm good enough and I'm smart and I'm capable and so on. Now, if they come from a family where the pillars are not strong, or perhaps the parents have been injured themselves and they carry their negative core beliefs, they're going to pass these, I call them psychoviruses, on to the next generation. And then these children are going to be also incorporating these horrible core beliefs like I'm stupid, or I'm not capable, or I'm ugly, or I'm a loser, or I'm not lovable, or no one will ever accept me. And you can see that if children walk into their day at school filled with negative core beliefs, and then you've got other children filled with their negative core beliefs, then it could be a breeding ground of activation and projection. So just so that you know what projection is, it's a defense mechanism. It's a primitive defense mechanism whereby people project their pain onto other people because it's not comfortable to be in pain. So the bully might bully somebody to get their aggressions out on someone else, and then the people around them may be the unhappy recipients of these horrible words and sticks and stones and horrible verbal and nonverbal messages, and maybe even physical threats. So you can see that if children are walking into school with negative core beliefs and unhealed wounds, and even more so multi-generations of unhealed wounds, what happens is that the children in the classroom are going to be triggering one another. And if you look at panels number 4, 5, 6, you can see the results. Chaos is step 1 of the trigger. And I think we have a call-in. So, hi, you are on the couch with Dr. Judy. What's your name, please?
Hello, my name is Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you, Dr. Judy?
I'm doing well, thank you. Where are you calling from?
Michigan.
Okay, thank you for calling in. So the topic tonight is, as you know, is school anxiety, separation anxiety, the effects of going back to school on parents and children. And so what's going on in your world, and what prompted the phone call?
I tried calling before, but this topic of like hostage and stuff.
Okay.
So, like described a lot of what I'm going through.
A lot of what?
Stuff I'm going through. I'm sorry.
A lot of what you're going through? Hostage?
Yeah, as an adult, living with my mom and sister.
With your mom and sister. Okay. And can I ask, how old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay. Are you in school? Are you going back to school?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit about your hostage situation. And again, I want to stay kind of relevant to the topic. And so, Stephen, if you would be so kind as to call me or the team member, we can talk about it. But in general, it sounds like,
Sure.
It sounds like you're in pain. I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're at the effect of some people, family members, and I'll bring relevancy to the topic by just bringing up the fact that, and I'll get to your dynamics in a minute. But if children are coming to school feeling like you, right? Then how are they going to learn? How are they going to memorize? How are they going to have an open space in their head to absorb when they're feeling depressed or anxious or low self-esteem? Make sense?
A little bit.
Okay, it interferes with learning. So what's going on with your mother and your sister that's really holding you hostage?
I guess kind of the narcissistic and golden child, flying monkey dynamic.
Okay. Okay, so are you the golden child? Are you the scapegoat? Which one are you?
Scapegoat.
Okay, so look, and I just want to bring it back to the school situation. So let's say let's say you're a little kid and you're the scapegoat and you're going to school. So what do you think your negative core belief might be? What do you along with your lunchbox and your sharpened pencils and notebook, what else are you bringing to school with you?
Schoolwork and stuff.
No, in terms of your belief about yourself, because of your family. Yeah?
I got you. Like this low confidence, no self-esteem.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm really sorry we didn't talk when you were 5 years old or 6 years old, but we're talking now. Okay? And so hopefully I could have spared you pain then, and maybe we'll spare you pain now. And we have a team of people that work through these narcissistic injuries. And just so the audience understands, what is a narcissistic injury is when the mother puts herself and her own emotional needs before her child. A narcissistic mother's dynamics will split siblings apart. They will devalue one and overvalue the other. So let's say, and tell me your name again, I'm sorry.
Steven.
Okay, so little Steven goes to school, and he's bringing with him, along with his lunchbox and sharpened pencils and notebook, he's bringing along, I'm not good enough. Does that fit with you?
A little bit.
Okay.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
That let's say I'm regressing you back to age 5 or 6 or whatever as a little boy. Being that you were stuck in this hostage situation, I'm imagining that you brought some pretty negative core beliefs to school with you. Core beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I'm not important, I'm not capable. Does that ring true for you?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. And unfortunately, I guessed right, because this is the kind of effect that narcissistic parenting has on children. So, audience, if you're thinking about the effects of anxiety on children, school, let's not forget that school is a place where children are graded, and grading could be another word for being judged. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, being that you take with you wherever it is, whether it's work or school, wherever it is, this being judged, what needs to be worked on in these cases, if you discover that your child has these negative core beliefs, Mommy, I think I'm stupid. Mommy, I don't think I'm capable. Mommy, I'm ugly. Mommy, I'm fat. Mommy, I'm such a loser. Little Billy told me I was a loser. Then it's going to interfere with cognition, because when we're emotionally licking our wounds, okay, when we're emotionally licking our wounds, it's really, really hard to concentrate, and it's really, really hard to be in the classroom. Okay, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be in life. So what needs to be done is that panel 3 core belief of I'm not this and I'm not this and I'm not that needs to be dismantled, because this core belief is based on the multi-generations of pathology in your family, psychopathology in your family, and the sooner we take it down, the better. Okay, so could you please call the Psychological Healing Center, and we're going to get on it, and maybe you can even join us in September for the group 14, 15, and 16. You're not in LA, correct? Where are you?
Michigan, no.
Okay, maybe you'll fly down. Okay, but in any case, call in to the clinic, and we'll handle it in more detail. Thank you so much, Stephen, for calling in and sharing this.
Could I throw anything else in there?
Yeah, really quickly, because I want to get into the subject. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. What about like the golden child?
Well, there's a lot of pressure on the don't think they're so golden, because the golden child is over idealized. Okay, so she's up on a pedestal at home, and maybe the kids at school don't think that the golden child is just that golden. So imagine the devastation of going from over idealization in the family structure to being devalued at school. Not fun, because when you're on the pedestal, guess where you have to go next? Right? Falling off the pedestal. So do call the clinic. We're going to handle it. I'm going to move on to some more information for the parents. And thank you for that, because I was able to really highlight what you're feeling and apply it to what children are feeling. So thank you for calling in, and I'll just keep going along the topic. So you could see from Stephen's example that children are carrying with them a lot of baggage to school, and school is a place where they can either be esteemed. Wow, Mommy, I got an A on my exam, or the teacher said that I was I turned in the best homework ever, or I drew a beautiful picture. These are beautiful things that can happen at school. On the other hand, ugly things can happen at school too. And I think we have another call-in. So hello, you are on the couch with Dr. Judy.
Hello.
Hi, who's this, please?
Ava.
Ava. Hi, Ava. How old are you?
10.
That's so cool. I'm so glad you're calling. I think you're the youngest caller ever. So tell me about, where are you from, Ava?
I'm from Missouri.
Okay. And did your mom tell you about the show, or how did this happen?
My mom knows about you.
Oh, your mom knows about me. Okay. And so you know the topic is about going back to school, yes?
Yeah.
And did you already go back to school, or are you going back to school?
I already went back to school.
And how is it?
It's good. I just changed the school, and I'm trying to get new friends, but I miss my old friends.
I can imagine. And are any of your old friends in school with you?
No.
So you changed schools. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes sense now. And so how many days have you been going to school now?
About 2 weeks.
Okay, did you make any new friends?
Not really.
Not really? And you have a chance in school to talk to each other and get to know each other and get to do projects together?
Yeah.
That's very cool, because that's how friendships are formed. You know, when you're doing stuff together and you kind of depend on each other, like let's say you're doing a project and one person does this part of it and the other person does that part of it, that's called teamwork. Right? Okay?
Yeah.
So the more teamwork you do with people, the more you can make friends. Okay?
I'm just really shy at school.
I see. And I think it was easier when you already knew the people. So let's brainstorm together. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so what if your mommy organized an activity called Meet New Friends? And she invited some of the people, or maybe even after class, if the teacher would let you guys, she did like a little kind of a mini party, and maybe she would order some pizza or maybe something healthier or maybe pizza because it's fun. And everybody could just sit around and say hi and get to know each other. Does that sound like fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, or do some fun activity like I'll go to play miniature golf, or I don't know what kids do today. Just don't play video games, okay? You'll never get to know each other, all right? You'll just sit there playing the video games. So I think that if you talk to your mommy, who I'm sure she would be on board, and maybe, okay, you know what the word proactive means? Proactive.
No.
Okay, so proactive means being assertive, making the first step. And I know this is hard for shy people, but the people who make the first step are the people who would walk up and say, "Hi, my name is," okay? And then maybe ask them something about, like, what do you like to do? What do you like to do on the weekends? So it's actually a skill that you could learn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, okay, let's role play. Okay, so I'm a new person. My name is Judy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What do you like to do?
I'd like to play volleyball and basketball.
Oh, I like that too. That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you want to maybe play with me at recess? We could play a little bit of basketball on the courts. Will you do that with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just did a very successful conversation. So you engaged with me, right? And then you also told me that you will participate with me, and that's called teamwork. Understood? And that's how you make friends. And the way you make friends is you get interested in people and you ask them questions, because guess what people love to do?
Okay.
They like to talk about themselves. And do you have a quick question that you wanted to ask me?
Not really.
Okay, so I really appreciate, and by the way, I'm not so sure you're shy. I'm not 100% sure that you're 100% shy, because you just called me on the radio, okay, on the YouTube, and you're talking in front of all these people. So how did you have the courage to do that?
What?
How did you have the courage to talk to me on the radio? It doesn't sound like you're 100% shy. Right? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I say go out there and talk to people and just smile at them and say, "Hi, my name is," what's your name? Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know how that goes, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. It was so nice talking to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good school year. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was our youngest and bravest call-in people I've ever met. Very cool. All right. So here's what you do if your child needs extra support, if they're shy or they have stomach aches or they're having separation anxiety. Here's some to-dos to do, okay? So first, Help them to make a successful transition. So if they're hesitant about walking into the classroom, maybe you want to go to the classroom before school starts. Maybe you want to show them the school, and if you can, walk around the school, walk around the campus, the lunch yard, go into the classroom. And what would be also very helpful is if they can meet the teacher in advance, because students tend to idealize teachers. They sometimes are naturally afraid of teachers because teachers may represent, you might get a bad grade, or you might be punished. So I think it's a nice idea that parents introduce their children to the teacher. And also it's a good idea for them to get some extra help. So if the child doesn't want to leave your side, then it would be a good idea maybe for a teacher's assistant or the teacher or somebody in the classroom to say, hey, why don't you come with me and help me to put the books up on the shelf, or engage them in some activity. Because when people are engaged in activity, then they're activating their cognition, their brains. And when your brain is being activated, then you're putting your energy into thinking and doing as opposed to feeling and going into your anxiety. So these are just some things that you can do for your child. This is arranging a handoff. The one that I just talked about is arranging for your child to go from you to the teacher or a teacher's aide or another student. And I know that when my children were going to school, they would have these buddies, or I forget what they called them, but when the child was new to school, they would pair them up with like a little child mentor, and that little child mentor who's been in the class for a while will show them around school and introduce them to friends and just kind of show them the ropes. So this is called arranging for a handoff. And so one thing to very much acknowledge is that if there's really a problem of separation, if there's a lot of clinginess, and if the child insists on just not going to school at all, there's the time to get some professional help. Okay, so there's a concept called I just saw school refusal. Okay, school refusal. When stomach aches and headaches and other reasons not to go to school or go late or leave early become persistent, a child may have developed what's called school refusal. And in this case, they may want to seek therapy, and specifically the kind of therapy they may want to seek is, well, I would always say mind map therapy because there's always a cause behind it. So everyone resists going to school once in a while, but school refusal is an extreme pattern of avoiding school that causes real problems for a child. And that's a quote by Dr. Bussman. School refusal is distinguished from normal avoidance by a number of factors. Number one, how long has your child been avoiding going to school? So if it's just a day or two, don't jump to conclusions. If it's going into day 3, 4, 5, and so on, it's maybe time to get some help. How much distress does she associate with attending school? If it's just mild anxiety, okay, but if she's going into full-blown, or he's going into full-blown panic attack, then that's a reason to get some help. How strong does your child resist going to school? Does she kick and scream, or does he throw a big tantrum, or what is going on here? So again, going back to attachment theory, there's always a cause behind this. And sometimes people treat things behaviorally, which is not a problem. I think some of the behavioral interventions are just fine. It's just that if you don't get to the root cause of it, like a true mother-infant disconnect, true narcissistic dynamics in the family whereby the child walks in with these horrible, negative, fearful, self-loathing core beliefs, there's the time to really delve in and start dismantling the family psychopathology. And again, I want to emphasize that it's not good enough to send the child to therapy. You know, a child is not like let's go to the child mechanic and get her fixed. The child is the product of a family system gone wrong. So if the child is doing poorly, chances are the family's not doing well. And if you only treat the child and let the child go back into the old dysfunctional system without treating the family, you're not really treating it in a holistic way, and it's going to be real hard for the child to get better when they have to re-enter on a daily basis the broken and dysfunctional family system. So here are some other tips by Anxiety BC on helping your child cope with back-to-school anxiety. So according to this article, anxious feelings are normal and expected. This is especially true for children and teens going back to school for first time starting kindergarten. This transition can be stressful and disruptive. They can also the stress can also affect the body, the psychosomatic connection, headaches, stomach pains, withdrawal, irritability, and so on. So these are some common worries the children have. And again, don't feel as a parent that you have to fix them, except that what is helpful is if you can hear them out and sit with them. Maybe listen to them on the drive to work, or listen to them after school. Worries such as, who will be my new teacher? What if my new teacher is mean? Will any of my friends be in my class? This is the last call-in. She didn't have any friends in class, so she has to develop new skills. Will I fit in? Are my clothes okay? Will I look stupid? Who will sit with me at lunch? What if I miss the bus? What if I can't understand the new schoolwork? What if something bad happens to mom or dad while I'm at school? So these kinds of thoughts lead one to believe that maybe something did once happen that was bad to mom and dad, and they feel that they have to stay home and protect mom and dad. Although it is normal for your child to have worries, it is crucial to make your child attend school, because the avoidance behavior will only get worse. And so if they avoid, they cannot have the positive experiences that will eventually help strengthen their skills, their social skills, and break through their avoidance. So they have to remember that if they keep staying home, they're going to miss some valuable opportunities, such as developing social skills, chances for success and mastery, praise for being talented, fostering friendships with new people. So there's a lot of missed opportunity. So let's just go and as parents, what to do. So avoid giving reassurance. Now that sounds counterintuitive. Don't tell them everything's going to be okay. Instead, problem solve with your child. So what if you're feeling lonely at recess or lunch? What would be the solution? So just as I did, role play with your child and see what's going to be a fruitful conversation, because children need dialogue. They don't know what to say, just like we don't know what to say. We don't have communication skills. We're taught communication skills. So they have to be taught social skills. And although we learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, we certainly don't learn mind map and wounds of childhood and negative core beliefs and how they impact our cognition and our moods. We don't learn that stuff. And again, if anybody is involved in the school system really deeply, I am passionate about getting the mind map into the school system. So if you have any leeway and headway in that direction, please do contact me. Start your child on a school routine at least 1 week before school, because you don't want to traumatize their schedule. If they're used to getting up at 10, 11, 12 noon, and now they have to get up at 6:45 or 7 to make it to school at 8, you may want to start putting them on a schedule at least a week before to accommodate them and help them adjust their system. For older children having trouble getting out of bed, you may want to give them an alarm clock, an actual alarm clock that they can set, and then when it rings, they can be responsible for getting up. One other topic that I want to cover is a not so pretty topic, which is about going back to school after a tragedy. And the biggest tragedy that I can think of is school shootings. Okay, so what happens to children who have to go back to school after a school shooting? It's going to be way different than children going back to school who are just fearing that the teacher is going to be a little bit mean, or that they're not going to have enough common friends in the classroom. So here's an article about anxiety over school shootings by Rachel Emke. Anxiety over school shootings become a common fear in America. According to Jamie Howard, director of the Trauma and Resilience Service of Child Mind Institute, parents tend to worry about school shootings more than their children do. Interesting. When children are younger, they're more egocentric. They think it's all about them. And of course, parents have been through their own trials and tribulations, and so they may take a more negative and fearful stance on this. This developmental selfishness is a quality that often protects young children from the kind of anxiety that adults around them are experiencing, because again, it's all about them. They don't think that anything necessarily out there is going to be affecting them. Well, it is a statistical fact that school shootings are very, very rare. So I think that one way to avoid the anxiety, if you have been a victim of being a student at a school shooting, then it might be smart to just keep away from the media and just not draw attention to it. Now, it is true that again, statistically, this is very rare. In a real sense, it's also very real. So here are some things to do. Parents are afraid to bring up school shootings to their children because they don't want to scare them. But children will often have heard about a school shooting, so they're already scared. So it is a good idea to bring it up and not hold it as a secret. Always ask your kids if they have any questions, and they may want to know about security. And again, I think that the most important thing we can do as parents is to get involved with the school, get involved in the security system, help the children plan on what to do in case of an emergency. And the more proactive a person gets, the more they feel that they have a locus of control over the situation. So that's a really, really important thing to go through school drills. But obviously, this is high trauma, and it has an effect on cognition. That makes sense, doesn't it? So if negative core beliefs affect the way we think and feel, then obviously trauma will affect cognition. And here's an article by Matthew Lynch. High school shootings can leave potentially damaging effects on both students and schools. Okay, so homicidal school shootings led to lower test scores in math and English, standardized tests. Math and English went down by 4.9% and 2.9% respectively. We also found that enrollment in the 9th grade was decreased by nearly 6% following a deadly homicide shooting, although not as affected in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. We found that decrease in enrollment in grade 9 also affected people, particularly in that year, and lasted up to 3 years of impact. So this is real, and this is the worst of the worst. And so the best of the best is that children are excited about going to school. The reality is that there's going to be anxiety. We do live in a world that's not predictable, and that's just a lesson that we all need to know. And last of all, I want to talk about some ways that kids can handle homework, an article by Andrea Stanley called How Parents Can Help Kids with Homework. So number one, it is true, and I found this to be true for me, is when I was a student, my parents didn't know English really well, so they couldn't help me with especially the English courses, and they just didn't know the material that I had to learn, so I felt really alone. So one thing that could be done about that is, if that's the case, maybe get a buddy to study with, or a tutor, or an aunt and an uncle, or a friend that knows that particular subject. Don't fake knowing the homework. Don't pretend that you do understand it. And then on the other hand, as there are many smothering parents, don't do your children's homework for them. That's not a favor for them, because then they're going to learn to be dependent. If you don't know something, we have at our fingertips Google, a great source. We can also do practical things like create a homework hotline and resource friends, family members, and so on. We can also try to master things before our children ask us the questions, although don't take a crash course in things. If you're attempting to make dinner while trying to master the order of the planets in the solar system, there is a guarantee to be a mix-up along the way. So maybe don't mix tasks with doing homework with the kids. Although parents are not advised to do the homework for their children, it is a good idea to be available for the children and maybe to go over the homework with them. And then most importantly, when they get that homework back, go over the successful comments and also the not so successful mistakes that they've made, so that you can be a role model that mistakes are part of a growth process, that mistakes are not mistakes, they're opportunities to learn. And so again, no judgment, no shame, no criticism. And that's the best stance to take with your children. All in all, as parents, be there for your children, listen to them, be attuned to their symptoms, be attuned to your own lack of finishing your psychological business, meaning parents, heal thyself first if you want healthy families, and if you want to pass along a more healthy psychological blueprint to the next generation. And so with that said, I'm going to jump to Pink Floyd and a song that I thought was very relevant. And thank you, Heather, my song picker. You always are on target with picking the song. And this one by Pink Floyd called Another Brick in the Wall. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No sarcasm in the classroom. Teachers, leave them kids alone. Hey, teachers, leave them kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Okay, so got a little background on Pink Floyd, and what happened was he was insulted by a teacher, and what he did was he protected himself with a brick wall. So when the teachers were mean to him, it was just another brick wall of defense that he built around himself. So the song goes through three stages: rising from sadness to protest to being furious. And this is a protection, again, a protest against being rejected in school. So now it builds. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teachers, leave those kids alone. Hey, teachers, leave those kids alone. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall, so that they have to keep defending against these so-called attacks. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall. Wrong. Do it again. If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. How can you have pudding if you don't eat your meat? Yeah, that's pretty funny, because I guess that's what Pink Floyd heard from maybe one of his teachers. You behind the bike sheds, stand still, lady. So here is a a rock star's expression of their experience of school. So thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, seminar September 14, 15, and 16. Sign up now and save yourselves $300. It's going to be very intense, very fun, very, very intense on the panels 1 through 9 mind map. And I'm going to be conducting it. You'll have a chance to meet the team, join us for lunch, probably meet my dogs, and hang out at the beautiful Psychological Healing Center. And if you haven't purchased the book, please do so. And also, don't forget, the seminar comes with the mind map video series and the book and intensive workshop for 3 days. So it's quite a deal. Sign up, fly out. I'd love to meet you guys. My favorite is meeting my audience, and we already have some people flying out from different parts of the world. I'm really excited. Can't wait. So again, please suggest topics. My website, Dr. Judy WTF. The seminar is blasted all over the front page of that, so it's easy to access. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all the call-ins. Really appreciate it. Good night, everybody.